Hi everyone. In this session, we'll see how we can get a whole table as an output parameter to be returned by an HTML service. So in the previous sessions, we just created an HTML service that gets into the absences module, go to the first page where we had a table of all the absences that have been submitted. And till now, what we got from this page is the values of the first row of the table. So let's say that instead of getting only the values of the first row, I want to get the values of all the rows in the tables. So right now I've taken the values of these columns, the start date, the end date, the absence type, and the day. So the first thing to do to get the values of a table is to add commands of store text for each of the columns that I want to get from the table. This is the same. I don't need to change anything. And if I'm just uploading it as is to the service manager, it will get me the values of the first line. If I want the whole table, the only thing I need to do is not change the recording file, is actually to change the definition of the service inside the service manager. So I just need to go to the service manager, to the same service that I've already recorded and uploaded. I will edit the service. And then in the output parameters, the only thing I need to do is to mark to the service manager that these fields are not singular, that these fields are part of a table. So I just need to check the multi-record checkbox. In this case, these are all the parameters, so I'll just check it all. And this is the only thing I need to do. Another parameter here on the service definition that relates to tables is the number of rows. By default, on the advanced details, you can see that by default, the service will bring the 200 first line of a table. If you have a table that has more lines and you want to bring more, you would need to change this number. And that's it. Once I'll save it and run the test again, we need to put here some values. Oh, let's leave it empty to get the whole table. Now, once I run it, as you can see, instead of getting only the first line, I will get here all the lines. This is the structure of the JSON that the service is returning. For each line, you will get all the values of the columns for that line. So in this case, we got 10 lines. You can see it here, 10 array items. And this is the things I need to do in order to get a table. Just add store text commands for each column that I want to bring for the table. And then on the service manager, set the outputs as multi-record outputs. That's it. Now let's demonstrate another thing that we might want to do with the table. And this is in clicking on specific a row in a table to do something. For example, let's say that we want to record a service that opens this list and then presses on the view details of one of the lines. Let's say that it presses on this view details and then get the details from this page. How do we do that? How do we press specific line from a table? So let's create a new test case. Let's call it, we will give it a name a bit later. And this test case will do almost the same as the previous recording. We will need to get to this page, and then we want to do additional steps. So we can record it again, or we can go to the previous recording, take the initial part of the recording, copy it, because we want to do the same here. Let's remove the filtering part to make it even simpler. Here it is. Okay, now let's see what we have. I'll just press the run button. It gets me here, and this is the starting point for my new service. I want to get here, and then I want to press one of these details button and get the details from the details page. To do that, I'll press the recording button and simulate and do the flow. So I'll press on the first button, for example, and then I'll stop recording, and then I'll collect some of the values from here. As you remember, I need to do store text. I'll take this one, which will be absence status, and I'll take a few more. We have already seen that, so I don't want to add too many fields. Start date, and let's take the number of days. Okay. So right now, if I run this test, it will get here and it will always press the first line and give me the details of the first line. But this is not what I want to do. I want to parameterize the test and click on any line. So I need an input parameter. Okay, so where would this input parameter affect? It would affect the click, this one that clicks on the button. Now let's look at the command that clicks the button. Okay, so it says click and wait. This is the command, the keyword. And then it has a selector which points to this button. And as I said, sometimes the default selector that is being selected by the IDE is not good for us, because as you can see here from the selector, there is nothing specific for the line number that we are trying to press. This one will match any line, and it just gets the first line. So let's see what other options I have for it. And let me again make it a bit wider to see the whole values. Okay, and I can see that here I have a suggestion, an interesting suggestion. Let me select it, where I have the ID, and part of the ID is the number of the line. You can see the 0 number here. So this is something that I can parameterize. So instead of putting 0 all the time, I will just add an input parameter, which will be the raw number. So before I'm focusing on this line, I will add input parameter. Here it is. Let me put a default value of 0, and let's call it row index. And then on the next command, instead of putting a constant of 0, I will put a parameter. And now when I run it, it will take the value from the parameter. And we've already seen that, but if I change it from 0 to, I don't know, 2 or 3, you will see that it will press the third line. And this is the third line. This is another line that we get into its details. So this is what I want. So now I only need to save it. Let me take the name. Let's call it absence details. Let's call it get absence details or line details. So it will be more relevant. And now I'll go to the service manager and I'll upload this service. And as you can see, I have here an input field, which is the row index, and I can decide on which row I want to click. So let me put here, oh, sorry. To put here instead of 3, let me put here 1, for example. I'll just create a service, sorry. when I do the test, I'll put here, let's say 2. I run the test. And I get these values, 30 of June, 62. Let's see what I have on line 2. This is 0, 1, 2. So this is the line that I'm pressing. And I have 30 of June, start date, 62. I got to the right line. So this is how I can click on specific line on a table and how I can get all the rows of a table. Thank you.